And welcome back, my fellow fiends. This time, in Let's Play Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne, we are not in Kabukicho Prison. We're actually starting off in the Ginza Mall, because there's a handful of things that I want to show off at this point. Now, to go over some reworking of my demon stock, one of the things that I've done off-screen is fuse Matador. I fused a Preta that I just pulled out of the Compendium with Incubus during a 1/8 Kagutsuchi to get Matador. He's comes with Sukukaja and Sexy Gaze. I don't really care about that. I would have liked if I got a decently powerful single target spell on him, but that's just not in the cards. This is actually one of the bigger weaknesses with the early game fiends, is that you're just not going to consistently have the options to actually fuse them with pretty good skills. Pretty much around the time we get well, actually, with the next Fiend we're going to fight, but that's a little ways off, we'll actually have the options to fuse them with some decent stuff, because they'll have pretty strong skill sets all their own, and we can easily fit in just, like, passives and stuff that'll make them much more effective. Matador himself, he has good resistances. Andalucia is a very useful multi-targeting physical attack and unique move, and we'll definitely be seeing a lot of him until he tapers off a bit, but it'll be a while before that happens. Now, the other thing to draw attention to is that I've got an Aquans and an Earthus. We're going to start getting into Mitama Fusion here, and I'm going to fuse a specific Mitama that I want registered in the Compendium for having the skill that is at the bottom of Aquan's list there, Watchful. Watchful is very handy to fuse onto demons that you either want to evolve or learn specific skills from, because then they can just kick around in your stock until they have what you need from them, and you don't actually have to worry about using them in combat if they aren't that great. Now, the Earthus I got from Rag's Jeweler, just trading in a handful of gems that I had that allowed me to get him. Aquans I fused directly, and the demons that I fused to make him, we will look at the demonic compendium here. We want to go down to the Yomas. I fused a Kopa, who I registered as soon as he learned Watchful and Makatora. Makatora is going to come in handy later for a different fusion that I want to do. And then I just pulled a Apsaras, because she's the cheapest out, fuse them together, make Aquans. Now, I don't recall if I went over Elemental Fusion, but Elementals, when fused with other demons, instead of creating new demons of a different race, it instead ranks up or ranks down specific demons, depending on what race they are relative to what elemental you're using. As you can see, Aquans can rank up Yomas, which you don't always expect the elementals you get from fusing specific races to actually rank up said race. It's not consistent about that. As you can see, it ranks down Kishins, but if we were to fuse a Kishin with Earthus, it would instead rank up. So this is different relations, and you gotta trial and error with this. Now, some demon races will only rank down from elemental fusion, which still has its uses. Certain demons, as you can see here, like Vials and Fiends, basically anything that you can't fuse directly or recruit through standard combat, those typically do not fuse with elementals. I probably worded that a little weird, but basically any demon that is usually an evolution kind of ignores elementals, or you have to perform special fusions. They fall outside the elemental fusion thing. You know, like Matador, he needs a Death Stone. Incidentally, we don't have any more Death Stones to fuse Daisojo or Hell Biker potentially, but we will be getting some very shortly. Anyway, one thing that I do want to draw attention to is that Kikura Hime can fuse into Kushinada with an Earthus, and Kushinada comes with innate Mediarama, which is going to be very important later, and I am actually going to be taking that fusion, but that's going to come when we actually are the level to fuse her, and Kikura Hime actually has the skill that I care about. Now let's actually get into the main thing that I wanted to get to, Mitama Fusion. So we want Ara Mitama, and we want to get Watchful onto him specifically. If I could get Watchful and Darkmite, that would probably be the most ideal, but it's not a big deal. Now, there we go. I'm just going to go with that. I don't really want to roll for a better secondary skill, because it's highly random and it can take forever. Of course, if you're playing the HD version, you can just pick what skill you want outright. Now, Mitamas are very unique. Rather than fusing with demons to create new demons, they fuse onto your existing demons to make them stronger in specific stats. Aramitama, he makes demons stronger in the strength and agility stats. Let's see, I forget exactly what the value is, but I believe it's like 25% or a quarter of their base stat. It's not quite, I think it rounds down in some cases. I'm not sure what Kikoro Hime's base strength was. I'm pretty sure she got at least 1 level up, but she only gets 2 points of strength and 1 point of agility from being fused with the Mitama. Say we... Actually, I think it's just 20%. Yeah, it's probably 20%. It's not... It doesn't matter too much at this point. But say I fused onto Matador, who's got a much higher base agility, and he would instead get 3 agility from that. That's pretty useful. The main reason that I'm fusing it is because I want to get a skill, or I want to get Watchful onto Kikoro Hime so that I don't have to worry about carrying her around. And let's just see if we can't get Watchful in Tarukaja, if we're lucky. If not, I'll just go with the first thing that Watchful... Bright Might. That's good enough. I would prefer Tarukaja, but we're on a recording here. I'm not gonna just spam this repeatedly until I get what I want. Now Kikoro Hime has Watchful, so I don't need her in the active party to actually get anything off her. She also has Bright Might, which may be useful. And since Ara Mitama was the first Mitama that I actually fused, he's gone into Compendium. Now we can just pull him out for 13,000 Maka, well, 13,500, and get access to Watchful, which we could fuse onto more demons. So that's pretty handy right there. The reason I want Ara Mitama specifically to fuse is because he's the lowest level Mitama, therefore he's the cheapest. So if I want to make any demons either get Watchful just so they can kick around in my stock getting EXP, or if I just want to create more Watchful EXP batteries for Sacrificial Fusion, Ara Mitama is by far the cheapest I could go for on that front. Let me see. Other notable things, when I was using Aquans, you probably noticed that Karasu could fuse up into Onkat. That is actually a demon I want to get later, because he, much like Karasu, is another 3-stage evolution demon. He'll evolve into something, and then he'll evolve into another thing, and the other thing that he evolves into is one of the better demons in the game. Now that rather lengthy diatribe on Elemental and Mitama Fusion is taken care of, I'm going to meet you in the Labyrinth of Amala at the entrance of the second Kalpa. See you there. And here we are in second Kalpa. It's been a while since we've been here. Remember this place? This is where the noble voice yelled at us, chastised us for dealing with powers beyond our understanding. Well, let's light the candelabrum of dignity to show that we have plenty of that. That's how you demonstrate that concept, right? We got dignity for days. That's why we're gonna light the candelabrum of eternity. I forget if, in the HD versions, these have been redubbed as menorahs instead, and I forget if they are named after different concepts or not. It's been a while since I've played the HD version, and I haven't paid too much attention to how the text is different. Partially, well, largely in part due to the fact that it's been a very long time since I had played the standard edition of the game prior to playing the HD version. Now that we have opened up the access way to the second Kalpa, there is a hole here, and it will remain instead of being gone. That will lead us right back to the entryway, and now we'll have a shortcut back to the second Kalpa. Now, to save yourself some walking, it might be a good idea to go back and save now, but when have I ever done the smart thing? We are going to head into the second Kalpa, and the second Kalpa is a bit weird. There is a large variety of enemies, and not all of them are on par with what we are fighting in either Kabukicho Prison or even the first Kalpa. Some of them are a lot weaker. However, in the first floor, there is actually two enemy encounters that are either even with what you're expected to be fighting at this point in the game, or actually considerably higher leveled, and we'll see if we'll run into them. Here we got a Floros. No, he didn't do anything to us. Yeah, one really annoying thing about the Labyrinth of Amala is that the shortcuts back to the entryway are after the pedestals for the candelabrums, not before it. So if you come all this way, you do have to come back or return through the tunnel leading back to the end of the previous Kalpa, then walk all the way back there and, take the tunnel back up to the entryway there, and it's all really annoying. It becomes less of a problem as you get deeper into the game, but funnily enough, right at the end of this particular Kalpa, it's going to be a huge problem. Gaias and Messiahs, huh? But this is actually an extended reference to the previous two games. We will run into spirits of the Gaian and Messian cults. And this is basically just fan service if you remember them from the previous games or are wondering how this connects to the previous ones. Those cults exist in this universe that Nocturne takes place in, and there are a couple other subtle references here and there. Black Ooze, let me check my notes here. I think these guys are they're either weak to elect or ice. Let me see. Black Ooze, they're weak elect. So we don't really have great options for dealing with them. They are resistant to physical attacks, as you'd probably expect from blob-type enemies at this point. So we just have to take them out slowly and surely. And I should be using Zanma for better single-target damage. Not too threatening, but they do give pretty decent experience. Here we've got a level up, and we still have Marogare equipped, so we're going to take a chance on hopefully learning some strength, or nope, didn't even get a violent reaction there. I was going to say, hopefully roll violent reaction to get an extra point of strength. For this floor, I want Kamado equipped. Now, if you have one, it would be a very good idea to have an Elec-resistant demon. One that would be very good, and I actually do plan to pick up off-screen, is Raiju. He, I believe it's Drains Elec. Yeah, either Drains or Repels it, but very handy to have on this particular floor because there is tough enemy that spams electrical skills if you give it the chance, and sometimes that is a choice that's taken out of your hands. This ladder will lead us back up to the beginning of the second Kalpa, and we'll be able to return to the first Kalpa or the entrance to the Labyrinth of Mala if we so desire. Now, throughout this place, here is a Gaian soul. We'll see if we can't find a Messian soul also. But yeah, he is just pounding out the Gaian rhetoric. We're not going to worry too much about him. Now, I've actually got a map here. There's a bunch of treasure on the first floor. None of it's terribly interesting. I just want to make sure I don't go to any dead ends in an effort to get anything that is not actually there. Our first treasure is over this way. I'm not sure I'll get all the treasure in this current run at the moment. I'm not terribly interested in doing so. Here we get a Tetrajal Rock, always handy to have a good supply of those. And there is the main gimmick for this iteration of the Labyrinth of Mala, is we've got these pits here that we can jump into to get deeper into the actual dungeon. I'm not going to go into this one. The one we actually want to take is on the other side. So, well, actually, there's something I want to show off here, so let me see. I'm just consulting the map. This should lead to another pit, I believe. Yep, there's the pit. We actually want to go a bit past this and come around this corner over here. We will come across a selection of 3 doors. We want to take the center one, and there is a ladder over here. Let's go check this out. Now, I'm not going to do the full thing that you want to do with this, but it is very important to remember this for later. Let's set up another Estoma. Like I said, there's a bunch of trash encounters that are not worth fighting at all. They're very weak, so we should not worry about them. We should set up Estoma so we're only getting to fights that we actually care about. Now, this child warns us that the hallway is cursed. And yeah, it has this very freaky looking miasma going all through it and across the walls. And if you step more than just a little bit through it, you take half your HP in damage, and it just keeps having you until you're down to 1 HP. Very bad idea to walk through it. However, there is an excellent reward if you can manage to get through it. Now, what's the caveat to that? The enemies in there are way, way beyond what we're expected to fight at this point. Also, here's another treasure. They are in the levels of the 70s. They are straight-up enemies you will encounter in the final dungeon of the game, so do not go in there unprepared. It would be incredibly unwise, and you would likely die in short order. It is pretty much luck-based getting through there, but later in the game, we'll have better options for dealing with that. And actually, it's not too far from now that I'll feel comfortable going through it. One of the big things that'll help us is Pisaka, and there's a couple other things we can do to increase our chances of actually getting through there. Now, here's the enemy I was talking about, Phantoms. These guys have electrical skills, so kind of threatening to our Habaki. I'm not too concerned about it because we got to go first. They are weak to force, and of course, we have a wash in good force damage. It's very unfortunate that one dodged. So we will just take them out with Tornado. Now, I don't have a great supply of MP restoratives, but I'm not overly concerned about running out of MP. Okay, let's see. What do I not need? I would actually like Mana Gain to increase the overall amount of MP he has. Honestly, I'm not going to be using Dia on him at this point. Connection is definitely a skill that I'm not going to bother learning. Alright, now that we've taken care of our business on the first floor, let's jump down. Now, as soon as you enter the second floor, absolutely equip Anathema. There's an enemy here that can utilize Mudone, and that has extremely high probability of just killing your demons outright if they're not immune to that, and it is not something I want to deal with if they decide to use on the Demi-Fiend. The very unfortunate thing about this is that it's also a powerful physical attacker that has a strong physical attack called Arid Needle, and if that crits on the Demi-Fiend, that can also put me in a really bad situation. Additionally, because it can petrify you, though Anathema also protects against this, because petrification is actually a death elemental skill. Now, the reason I jumped down that pit in particular is because there's a mystical chest here with a very good treasure, so let me run around until it's full Kagetsuchi. Alright, while I was running around, I've run into the enemy I was talking about, Ikusa. He is very dangerous. He's a level 44 demon. Fortunately, he's weak to force, which, again, we are pretty rich in options to deal force damage. It's not good when he dodges. I'm not going to take any chances. I really don't want him to hit me with a critical Arid Needle when I'm at less than full HP. So I'm just going to take him out. I don't care that took a lot of MP. Alright, see you when the Kagetsuchi is at full. Alright, Kagetsuchi is full, so let's open up this mystical chest and get an agility incense. Now, I was reading some guides online, well, more specifically by maps, which just offhandedly mention this. Apparently, the contents of mystical chests can actually be influenced by the phase of the Kagetsuchi, so it's not necessarily that you can only get the good treasure when the Kagetsuchi is full. You just have a guaranteed chance of doing so, and a higher chance the more the Kagetsuchi is waxed. I'm not sure if that's true or not. You always get the best thing if it's at full, so it's just best practice to open it when it's always full. Alright, so let's see here. We want to take the eastern pit downward, because that will allow us to get the item we need to actually complete this second Kalpa. Here we've got Dr. Dark. Now, he actually charges quite a bit more than he does on the first Kalpa. Actually, no, that's the same price as the first Kalpa. Honestly, if you're desperate, that's not a bad price to pay. We're definitely going to get... yeah, see, we've already got more than enough money to afford that, so if we really need it, it's not a bad idea. Here are, of course, the drinking souls. They take more money than they say, but that is a guaranteed way to get out of the Labyrinth of Amala if you are concerned, so that may be an option we want to take. Now, the reason we want to jump down this eastern pit is because, like I said, it'll lead us to the item that we need to get to. Now, on its surface, this is a wide open area, but as you can see, there are walls that appear as you get closer to them. So we've got a bit of a maze where we can't actually see all the walls, and we just gotta kind of blunder into them until we actually get to where we need to be. Fortunately for you, I actually took the time to locate a map, so let me just zoom that up. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to head left around this way, and let me see. Okay, it just bumped into a wall. We want to... Actually, what am I doing? There's new enemies here. Here's Raiju. This guy is weak to force, so not anything too threatening to deal with. I'm going to go with the cheaper spells off of Matador and Karasu. Oh, hey, enemy reinforcements. Don't see these too often unless you have Riborama set up. But yeah, here's just another example of how you can run into junk enemies. Probably just to be on the absolute safe side, should use Fire Breath here. I don't know if we've run into Bicorn at all. He's an Ikebukuro if you do happen to encounter him. Speaking of this, though, or, well, dealing with this, I do want to re-equip Kamudo, because we're outside the threat of being hit with Mudone right now. Physical resistance is always a bit more useful, so that's why I'm going to do that. We want to go up in here, and then from here it's a pretty straightforward path. We just want to go through here, and this will allow us to get to the door that we need to go through. Ooh, Nue. We can encounter these guys in the first Kalpa in the hallway leading to the second Kalpa, but these guys are weak to fire, not terribly threatening, so let's just hit them with that. I don't know if we've shown them off before, but again, better to err on the side of caution. Let me see. Let me show off Andalucia, since we haven't actually had a chance to do so. Pretty good multi-targeting physical attack. Hits 3 to 4 times on all enemies. If you use it on a single enemy, though, it only hits 1 to 2 times. So keep that in mind. It's not just a flat upgrade over Matador's physical attack. It's not exactly great damage either. It does about, like, 80 to 100 on average, depending on Matador's strength. But this can be boosted with Mitamas, if you have the resources, namely money, or potentially jades and rubies to get a bunch of them and just power up Matador. One thing I should mention about Mitamas, there is a cap on how many times you can use them. I think you can use them to boost a stat 4 times past its with its base boost. I'm wording this really weirdly. Basically, you can just use a Mitama on a demon 4 times, and then it won't take effect for a given stat anymore. And this guy is not so subtly pointing out that there is a hidden wall here. Just go through here, and we come across this ladder. And the reason we want to take this one is because it leads us into a secret room that has the treasure we need. This treasure contains the Moon Key. This will allow us to open up any moon doors we come across, of which there are a few, including some that we need to open to actually progress further in this dungeon. Now, the other enemy we can potentially run into, well, there's 2 other enemies we can potentially run into in this B3 area. One of them is Mothman, a perennial meme favorite of the SMT community, and the other one is extremely dangerous. It's Hrisvelger, and he is a level 75 demon, so he can absolutely dumpster your team in a single hit if you're particularly unlucky. Hey, speaking of Mothman, there he is right there. There is our Habaki coming in for the win. One thing to watch out for Mothman is that he is immune to fire damage, so we need to use stuff like Tornado if we want to deal with him. Thankfully, this is not a game where he is force resistant, so that is not something we need to concern ourselves with. Now, let me go over my resources here. I want to use Media to get everybody recovered. Let me see. Okay, we got a chakra drop here. If I get low enough, I'll probably just use that chakra pot, since I'm never going to use those anyway. May as well get some mileage out of them. Okay, let me back up a bit here and just get my bearings. We are here. Okay. I see. We just need to keep going until we hit a wall, then turn right here. And want to down, I think, and then around? No. This is okay, I'm kidding. Sorry, it's a bit hard to relate this to the map you're looking at and just how it is in-game. Ooh, there goes Matador. That is why we have Kamuto, because that would have been devastating if that, connected. Oh, jeez. This is actually a pretty bad situation to be in regardless, so, I'm gonna have to think hard about how I want to deal with this. Let's see here. Jeez. Okay, the big threats are Nue and Mothman, so let's focus on getting those guys taken out. This might be a hopeless situation to find ourselves in. This is a tough one to figure. Let's go with Secunda to lower their accuracy and evasion. Charm did not cure there. Okay, that's lucky. Charm is still up. I can live with that. Thankfully, in this game, if Charm party members attack people who are immune to certain things, it does not cost you turns. He's gonna die anyway. You know what? Let's just blow him up. See if that takes some of the heat off of us. And we will focus on trying to take out my... Okay. Ooh, that is not good. That is... Oof, thank you for dodging. So, I was wrong. Mudo is actually a threat, just a very rare one. Okay, what we're going to do here is we're just going to use our smoke ball and get the heck out of here. Yeah, if you ever see these tough, or these bad fights that just do not look like you're going to have an easy time winning them, it is much smarter to run and let yourself recover. Thankfully, we've got tons of revival beads, so I'm not overly concerned about demons dying at this point. Granted, those revival beads can burn very quickly. You use Diorama on everyone, and then just a Medea. That puts us in a good situation, so we want to go this way. But I think if I just hug up against the walls, should make it. Let me see here. No, I do have to go around a little bit. Now we should get to the door that I'm trying to get to. Yeah, we're doing this. Okay, let's head on through here. And there is actually a couple of moon doors that we can go through. So over here is one that will just lead us to some treasure. And in here, we've got A Death Stone. Very nice. That allows us to fuse another fiend, and it's probably going to go towards Daisojo. Now, heading over this way, we've got another locked door that's a moon door. This one, though, just leads to a burial chamber, and we cannot do anything with those at the moment. However, now that we have the moon key, we potentially can. I'm not going to get the item that will allow us to do things with the burial chamber at the moment. Also, almost forgot, we want to get Anathema equipped. Let me check my recording here. We can probably go for a little bit longer. Let me think about where I want to go here. Oh, this guy. This is the Shady Broker. Now, he sells us a pretty good demon here. A demon that can heal anything. Well-rounded bosom? Now, he's kind of pulling your leg on the well-rounded bosom here. The demon that he's selling is a Nue. However, it has a ton of very good healing skills and passives. The standout ones are Sama Rekarm, which is a full HP revival skill. Prayer, which is an in-battle healing skill that restores your entire party's HP to full and cures any ailment. And it has Mana Refill, a passive that causes MP to recover whenever the Kagetsuchi phase advances. Very good stuff, very good fusion potential off of that, but a 30,000 Maka price point, which is a bit too rich for us at the moment. We're not even close to that. I could get that money pretty easily just by grinding here, but I don't really feel like doing it at the moment. I may come back for that, though, because those are a handy bunch of skills to be able to fuse around. Now let's see here. Do I want to press my luck and go a little bit deeper? Let's see. We're on the eastern side, and we want to take the western one. Oh, we're actually close to full Kagetsuchi, I think, so... Oh, no. Okay, change of plans. Let me see, who do we got here? Okay, that's good. Let me do, let's just, sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought here. Let's just take these guys out. We'll do a tornado to get rid of them. I think we'll actually back out here. Oh, these guys are not threatening in the slightest. That's Shikigami. He is way outclassed. Yeah, we'll just hit him with onto Lucia. What I'll do is we'll talk to the partying spirits and just warp ourselves out of there. I don't really care about the amount of money they're going to take, because we have more than enough money. Oh, jeez, this just keeps going and going. Get out of here. Come on, I've got a Stoma up, and that's supposed to reduce the chance that reinforcements come. Not my lucky day, not my lucky day. Oh, hey, that actually is lucky. Never mind, it is my lucky day. We got Chakra Drop there. Alright, I think these are the partying spirits. No, this is Dr. Dark. Alright, so let's go talk to the partying spirits. Alright, I'm going to have them warp me back to the entrance, and I'm going to go to the more relevant things of interest to do with the Moon Key. So, meet you there. Alright, here we are back in the first Kalpa, B1 on the western side of it, and here is a moon door that we saw quite a while ago and couldn't open at the time, but now we can get into it. Here we find a black visor, and over here we get enemies that are not worth my time and effort, but elect to annoy me anyway. Good stuff. But in all seriousness, we get an attack mirror out of this one, and I was incorrect. You actually can get those out of standard cubes, so hooray. I love being proven wrong. And get a Death Stone here. Good stuff. So now we can fuse Hell Biker if we want to. Of course, we're too low level for either of them, but this guy tells us to read the writing on the tombstones in the burial chambers with the black visor. Now, this is actually kind of an interesting thing. I'm not going to show it off right now because it's not... Well, actually, you know what? While I'm yammering about it, I can just go show it off when we get there. But the burial chambers, the tombstones in them, will now have text on them relating to bosses that you've killed throughout the game. Now, this does not account for actually a pretty substantial chunk of the bosses in the game. Far fewer than you'd expect are actually represented by the burial chambers, but what we get off of the burial chambers is time trials, essentially, where we're given a specific amount of press turns to defeat bosses from earlier in the game. Like, here we've got Fornius. For Fornius, you have to defeat him within one press turn, so that does mean that if you manage to hit his weakness and have a flashing press turn, that is not a turn consumed, so you could theoretically beat him in 0 turns, and that would complete the time trial for you. Over here, we've got Troll. We're not going to fight either of these guys because I don't really have teams optimized for killing them quickly. Even though they're much, much weaker at this point, and it wouldn't be too much of a hassle to kill them, killing them within the turn limit, on the other hand, is a lot trickier. And if you manage to complete all of the Burial Chamber tombstones, you get a very good reward in New Game Plus. It does not affect anything in a single playthrough. We will be doing this quest, but it's going to be much, much later in the game. Now that we've checked this out, I'm going to meet you back in the second Kalpa, where we need to be to actually progress to the end of it. Alright, here we are back at the central area that we dropped down to. This is the center. Actually, yeah, it is pretty much central, but the central area that we dropped down into previously in B1. Now, you may notice that there is a moon key door here, and this actually takes us very close to the pit that we need to drop into to actually progress through the end to the end of this section of the dungeon. Let me get my map up so that I can find where we actually need to go. Actually, this is the right way. So we want to drop into this pit right here. You can probably see that there is a mystical chest on the other side of the glass there. I'm just gonna, in the next video, do a supercut of collecting all the interesting treasure around here. Now that we've dropped into this pit, we've got another moon key door. So let's just open this one up. And this will take us into a hallway that will allow us to reach the end. Now let me just take a look at my stats here. More specifically, let's see if we can't get into one more encounter. And preferably it has Nakusa in it. Yes, okay. Mighty Gust is a physical skill, despite the name. Oh, Matador. Okay, good. Alright, so let's Maz on this guy. The reason I'm fighting these guys is because we can get a level up off of them. Let's just hit this guy with Zanma, soften him up a bit. And let's hit him with Tornado. I'm actually hoping for a very particular thing to happen off of this level up. So we have Anathema equipped, and I'm going to put my next point into Vitality. I would have liked Mana Drain a while ago, but we are past the point where I'd actually care to have it, so we're not learning it. And Anathema has begun to act violently. Well, let's let it go. Ah, of course! Anathema can do one of two things. It can recover your entire party to their full HP and MP, or it can curse you. Anathema has an extremely high chance of cursing you. The party recovery is by far the less frequent thing that actually happens. Of course, when I'm trying to demonstrate curse, it does not happen. Well, since it's something that's relevant with Anathema anyway, Curse is a unique status effect that can only be dispelled at Fountains of Healing. What does it do? Curse has two primary effects. One, when you're cursed, you cannot switch your Magatama anymore, which can be extremely dangerous if you run into an enemy who has your weakness. The other thing that Curse does to you, that's unfortunate, the other thing that Curse does to you is that it changes up the fusion tables. In particular, it turns all of the demons you could potentially create, instead of being their standard fusion options, they will be turned into either Wilder, Haunt, Fowler, and I believe Vile demons. So that can be interesting, and I actually would kind of like that right now, because I want to be able to fuse Raiju, but I'm just going to have to look for a different way to get that guy. Probably I'll just have to grind out some money and do a elemental fusion to get him. It's not a huge deal either way. But here we are at the end. So let's peep into the old peephole and see what we've got waiting for us here. Now, one thing to note about the peeping sequence is that this little thing where you go through a magical tunnel to be taken to that stage, you can just press the circle button to skip right to the nitty-gritty. We don't need to see that any more than once, I feel. It is an impressive visual effect, but it is far from necessary. Now, here we see the young woman and the wheelchair-bound old man. I wonder what the relationship is between them, and the old woman and the young boy. Well, we encountered a soul of a Gaian and a young boy. I kind of went straight to where we needed to be, so we actually didn't even get the chance to see too many Gaians or Messians. Oh, how so? Hey, we're getting some backstory on Hikawa. Now, I don't know if I've mentioned this previously, but the Labyrinth of Amala is actually an addition to Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne. In the original release in Japan, it did not have the Labyrinth of Amala nor the Fiends, so this is some additional backstory if you committed to getting the newer version of the game in Japan. Of course, here in the US and in the PAL regions, this aspect of the game was always present to us, and it was not clear that it was actually additional content. I can see why Hikawa was regarded as a heretic within a chaos-worshipping faction, since his philosophy on stillness and basically just consistency between everyone practically border on hive mind. It sounds like that is like as far removed from the tenets of the guy in scripture as possible. You can see even when he was allied with a heretical group that has strong Eastern mysticism in their traditions, he still rocked that awesome suit. I was showing this game to my friend, and she pointed out Hikawa's hairline, and just look at that. Like, imagine you shave that center part of his head. I just have not been able to unsee that. And then I kind of noticed that everyone in this game, if you remove the hair from the front of their faces, a lot of them have gigantic foreheads. It just kind of changed the way I perceive the characters afterwards. I'm kind of talking over this, but yes, he did learn of the conception, and he went about bringing it about to create his ideal world. But Hikawa was responsible for the incident in Yoyogi Park back in the real world at the beginning of the game. Not really sure if it's accurate to call it the real world, but you know, the world that resembles ours more closely than the Vortex world. Well, that explains the blood in the hospital basement. Yeah, in this game it is made abundantly clear that humans stand no chance against demons, and that you can't expect to just get a pocket knife from a guy who had his throat ripped out and expect to be able to fight them. But yeah, the entire plot of the game, Hikawa's behind it all. But will he be able to make his vision a reality? Not if I have anything to say about it. You know, I swear I've heard that kind of philosophy before. I'm probably overthinking it. But yes, that is the peephole scene that we get for this floor of the Labyrinth of Amala, this Kalpa, this layer. And like before, the path forward opens after we commune with them. Now, you might think that you should just want to turn around at this point, because you definitely won't have the candelabrums to actually progress further into the Labyrinth of Amala. You can't get the shortcut back until you actually drop those candelabrums off, so it'd just be a waste of time to go forward. You'd be dead wrong in this case. Any other case, you'd be correct. This case, we actually do want to go forward if we want to advance this quest at all. Also, hey, our Habaki. And this is the note that if you can collect the Maka that is hidden within the destructible objects throughout the Amala tunnels, you will get increasingly greater amounts. Each time you get a purple Maka, the amount doubles starting from 100, and it actually caps at 9,999. Now there is actually one Amala tunnel that gives truly ludicrous amounts of Maka if you know where to get them all. One thing to note about missing the purple Maka is that you do need to get all of them in succession. If you miss a single one, the count is reset and it drops back down to 100. Also, I do not know where any of the Maka is in this tunnel. I only know where a good chunk of them are in the initial tunnel and the second tunnel. And there is actually a video for a very specific tunnel that is much later in the game, but it gives a very good amount of Maka if you can hit all of the destructible objects that have the purple Maka in them. Also, I got totally destroyed there, so we are going to be on death's door. However, we're going to have to go back through that tunnel, and you can't actually die in the Amala tunnels, so it would be a waste of MP to heal ourselves right now. So let's step forward and... Uh-oh. Maybe I made a horrible mistake, because we are already feeling the presence of demons. Nah, I'm not that dumb. I tend to not pay attention in many situations, but I'm not that willfully dense. Hey! It's White Rider, one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Wheel of Fate is turning. Rebel 1, action. But hey, here is Red Rider, or Red Knight as the game identifies him here. You serve the fallen angel, huh? Alright, sounds simple enough. Beat the riders, get a candelabrum. Okay. What he said there, though, that implies that the guy who tasked us with it, that old man in the wheelchair... Well, my mind's made up. Alright, and yes, see how he said they'll meet us in the Vortex world? If you do not see that cutscene, the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse will not appear in the Vortex world, and you cannot advance the quest any further. Even though there is no reason otherwise to go to the 3rd Kalpa at this point, because you do not have the candelabra to actually move forward. You have to come here to see that cutscene in order to advance the quest. Otherwise, you're never going to get any further. It is super, super dumb, and I really wish they didn't work it like that. Or at the very least, like, could you have not put the shortcut back right here? Is it really necessary to have it be past the doorway? And this is not something that they corrected in the HD version either. A lot of people criticize the HD version for playing the more annoying aspects of the original release too closely. In the initial release, you couldn't pick your skills on Fusion, which lots of people criticized. Alright, we're just going to go back through this hole, and then we're going to get out of here. I did not get anything remotely resembling good Maka out of that. But that's neither here nor there. I got 256, which is better than what I got previously. Actually, let's just Medea all the way up. Yeah, I'll keep Anathema on. We might run into Akusas on the way out of here. But the reason that I'm not just cutting back to the entrance of the Labyrinth of Mala is because the game has some mercy here. It recognizes that we have quite a bit of a ways back, so... Always getting encounters interrupting my thoughts. We have 2 options here. There is a wall, there's a false wall there that we can use to actually go back around and get out of this area, and we will be dumped in front of a ladder leading back up to B2, or we've got drinking spirits here, and since we've just did something important, let's just warp ourselves out of here. Alright. But yeah, we actually got to the end of the 2nd Kalpa already. If you know what you're doing in the Labyrinth of Mala, if you know exactly where you need to go, they are actually surprisingly short. Most of the length and difficulty from these Kalpas actually comes from just not knowing where the heck you need to go, what treasure there is to find, what secrets there are, or walls you need to walk through, and you just bumble around and get attacked constantly and often get killed in very embarrassing ways. And that is what makes the Labyrinth of Mala very long and difficult on your first playthrough. On successive playthroughs, it's actually surprisingly short and quick to get through. Short and quick. It's surprisingly quick and relatively painless to get through these when you know exactly where to go. But that is all we're going to cover in this video. We've formally completed the 2nd Kalpa, but we need to get all the treasure in there, as there's quite a lot of good stuff, actually, and it'll help us out going forward. Not necessarily as, like, it'll help me win any fights, but, you know, there's some decent stuff that's useful to have in the tank. Plenty of stuff that I can get that can sell for money, like bead chains and stuff like that, somas. So yeah, it'll be worth to go through there, and I'll just do a supercut, probably like showing the map where I'm at specifically getting those treasures, and that is what we'll do in the next video before we return to Kabukicho Prison. As always, my fellow fiends, I hope you enjoyed watching, and I super duper hope to see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.